Daf Yomi Tractate Bava Metzia, page 94. Sadi Dalid, Aleph, Amid Aleph, 94a, top of the page with words Kach v'Kach, Gavri Ika Behadan, etc. We have such and such men with us, such and such dogs with us, and such slings. Zukata. With us. In other words, we are fully protected, and you should not dare to take anything from us. If the thief subsequently went and took an animal from him, what is the halacha? Bava said to Abaya, it is as though he has taken them to a place of groups of beasts and bandits, as his taunting the thief motivated the theft. Okay. New Mishnah. The halachot of the Shomrim, the Baileys, stated in the previous Mishnah apply to standard cases. The halacha is that in any case involving monetary matters, the parties may agree to special terms. Therefore, an unpaid Bailey may stipulate with the owner that he will be exempt from taking an oath if the item is lost. And similarly, a borrower may stipulate that he will be exempt from having to pay, and a paid Bailey or a renter can stipulate that he will be exempt from taking an oath and from having to pay, as one can relinquish his monetary rights. With regard to matters that do not involve monetary claims, anyone who stipulates counter to that which is written in the Torah, his stipulation is void. Any condition that is preceded by an action. In other words, the agreement is formulated with the promise of an action followed by a statement that this action will be carried out only under certain terms. The condition is void and the promise remains intact. The condition must be stated before the action, and with regard to any condition that one can ultimately fulfill, but he stipulated with him initially, in other words, in practice, the action is performed first, followed by the fulfillment of the condition. Nevertheless, because it was formulated in the proper manner, with the condition first, his condition is valid. If the condition cannot be fulfilled at all, once the action has been carried out, the condition is void. The Gemara asks a question with regard to the Mishnah statement that Baileys can issue conditions and change the liabilities imposed on them by Torah law. Why are they able to do so? This is a case of one who stipulates counter to that which is written in Torah. Masna al mashe kaseh b'toyre. V'chol masna mashe kaseh b'toyre. Tanai batal. Whoever stipulates counter to that which is written in the Torah, as the Torah determines who takes an oath, and who must pay, with regard to anyone who stipulates counter to that which is written in the Torah, his condition is void. The Gemara explains, in accordance with whose opinion is this Mishnah? It is that of Rabbi Yehuda, who says that if the condition that runs counter to that which is written in the Torah is referring to money matters, his condition is valid. As is taught in Braita with regard to one who says to a woman, you are hereby betrothed to me on the condition that you have no claim against me to give you food, clothing, and conjugal rights. She is betrothed, but his condition is void. This is the statement of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda said, with regard to money matters for food and clothing, his condition is valid. It's questionable why she would want to do that. But, at the end of the day, if she agreed, she has some kind of a contract, it's valid. The Gemara raises a difficulty, but can you establish the Mishnah according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda? Say the latter clause of the Mishnah. Anyone who stipulates counter to that which is written in the Torah, his condition is void. In this clause, we arrive at the opinion of Rabbi Meir. The Gemara answers this is not difficult, as actually you can explain that the Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and the latter clause is referring to non-monetary matters. The Gemara continues to question this explanation, but say the latter clause from near the end of the Mishnah, and any condition that is preceded by an action, the condition is void. Who have you heard who accepts this reasoning? It is Rabbi Meir, as is taught in Praita, Abba Chalafta, from the village of Hanania, said, in the name of Rabbi Meir, if a condition was stated before the action, this is a valid condition. But if the action came before the condition, it is not a valid condition. Rather, the Gemara retracts the previous explanation and states that the entire Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Why then is the Bailey exempt from payment or an oath? Because here it is different. As at the outset, he did not obligate himself in the halachot of a Bailey, as stated in the Torah. Before he entered into the agreement, he clearly stated that he is unwilling to accept upon himself the liabilities of a paid or unpaid Bailey by Torah law. A sage taught in the Bride, just as a Bailey can issue a condition that he should be exempt, the converse is also possible. A paid Bailey can stipulate to be like a borrower. In other words, he can accept upon himself all the responsibilities of a borrower. The Gemara asks, by what means is this commitment binding? Is it merely by speech alone? Mere speech is not sufficient to demonstrate a commitment of this kind. Shmuel said, no. It is referring to a case where the owner performed an act of acquisition with the Bailey affirming this arrangement. The obligation goes into effect only if there was an act of acquisition. And Rabbi Yochanan said, you may even say that it is referring to a situation where the owner did not perform an act of acquisition with the Bailey, and even so he is liable as a borrower. The reason is that by means of that benefit he receives from the fact that a rumor goes out about him, that he's a trustworthy person, he commits wholeheartedly to obligate himself, even by means of a verbal promise alone. Therefore, there is no need for a formal act of acquisition. The Mishnah teaches with regard to any condition that ultimately can be fulfilled, if he stipulated it initially, his condition is valid. Rav Tavla says that Rav says, this is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema, but the rabbis say, even though one cannot ultimately fulfill the condition, and he stipulated it with regard to it initially, his condition is valid. As it is taught in Praita, if a man said to his wife, this is your bill of divorce on the condition that you ascend to the skies, or on the condition that you descend to the depths, what does that mean? How do they word that here? Almanah sheterdi letahom. Shatali Larakia, all these outlandish kind of things, on the condition that you swallow a reed of 100 cubits in size, or on the condition that you cross the Great Sea by foot, only if the condition was fulfilled, and she did as he demanded, is this a valid bill of divorce. But if the condition was not fulfilled, it is not a valid bill of divorce. How is According to this Tana, the condition is binding despite the fact that it cannot be fulfilled in practice. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema Omer. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema says, a document such as this is a valid bill of divorce. The condition is negated, and therefore the bill of divorce is valid even though the condition was not fulfilled. It's just treated as nonsense and we just ignore it. As Yehuda ben Tema stated a principle with regard to any condition that one cannot ultimately fulfill. There was a condition that cannot be fulfilled at all, and yet he stipulated to this effect. Even if he did so initially, he is considered as only exaggerating, and the document is valid. The supposed condition is not taken seriously, and it is not binding. Okay, and now we are approaching the very end of this chapter. It's the last piece, so I want to see that, what it, hold on. We're about to finish the 7th parak, actually. Sofer es po'alim. And we're coming to the end of it. We're coming to the last piece here. Amar Rav Nachman. Amar Rav. Halakha Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. Rav Nachman says that Rav says the halakha is in accordance with the opinion of Yehuda ben Tema. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak said, the mission is also precisely formulated in accordance with this opinion, as it teaches with regard to any condition that ultimately he can fulfill, and he stipulated with regard to it initially, his condition is valid. This indicates that if he cannot fulfill it, his condition is void. The Gemara affirms one can learn from this formulation that the unattributed Mishnah does in fact represent the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. Hadron alach hasocher es hapoalim. We shall return to you. Socher es hapoalim. And the 7th parak of Bava Metzia is concluded. And the very bottom of this daf, we're starting the next parak, which is Hashol es hapar, the 8th parak of Bava Metzia. Hashol es hapar v'shal ba'alei imah. Oschar ba'alei imah, shal ba'alim, oscharan v'achakach, shal hapar b'meisa patra shnemar im ba'alav imo lo yishaleh. The Mishnah says, in the case of one who borrowed a cow and borrowed the services of its owner with it, or he borrowed a cow and hired its owner with it, or he borrowed the services of the owner or hired him and afterward borrowed the cow, in all such cases, if the cow died, the borrower is exempt from liability. Although the borrower is generally liable to pay if a cow is borrowed dies, here he is exempt, as it is stated, if his owner is with him, he does not pay. Exodus 22:14.